Before we begin this night prayer, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and like this video. That way, on nights when it feels impossible to let go, you'll have these words waiting for you, a reminder that you're not alone in what you carry. There's something about the night that makes memories louder, the quiet, the stillness. It leaves space for everything you've tried to push down during the day to come rising back up. The things you thought you were over, the people you thought you'd forgiven, the pain you thought you'd buried, it all comes back, whispering, sometimes shouting, "You're not done with me yet." You lie in bed, staring at the ceiling. The world around you is dark, but your mind is bright with old images, arguments you wish you'd never had, moments you can't stop replaying, losses you never asked for, but still feel in your bones. You wonder why you can't just move on. You wonder why letting go feels like losing a part of yourself. And you whisper into the quiet, "God, I don't know how to let go. I've tried, I've prayed, I've told myself I'm done holding on. But every night it finds me again. The hurt, the fear, the weight of what I can't change. Please, meet me here in this heaviness. Please, sit with me in this place. I don't know how to leave." The silence that follows is thick but not empty. It feels like someone listening, patient, unhurried, not asking you to fix yourself before you speak. You close your eyes and take a slow breath. The memories are still there, but the sharpness of them softens, just slightly. For the first time tonight, you feel the faintest sense that you are not carrying this alone. But it's ready. Imagine this. You're walking down a quiet path in the middle of the night. The sky is deep indigo, scattered with stars that blink faintly overhead. A soft wind moves through the trees, carrying the scent of pine and earth. The path is narrow, but steady. Each step you take feels deliberate, heavy, like you're carrying something invisible but enormous on your back. As you walk, you realize you've been holding it for so long. You don't even remember what it feels like to be without it. You've built your life around it, your defenses, your walls, even your idea of who you are. And yet there's a part of you, small but persistent, that wonders what it might feel like to set it down. Not forget, not erase. Just set it down. You whisper again, this time to the night itself. I don't know how to let go, God, but I want to. Even if I'm scared, even if I don't know who I am without this weight, teach me, show me, walk me there, step by step. The path curves, leading you to a clearing. There's a bench there, simple and wooden, facing a still lake. The moon reflects on the water, broken by gentle ripples that move like breathing. You sit down, shoulders heavy, and for the first time in what feels like forever, you let yourself exhale. The quiet doesn't demand you to let go right now. It doesn't rush you. It simply offers you space to grieve, to rest, to breathe. And in that space, something shifts. Maybe letting go doesn't start with dropping everything at once. Maybe it starts with admitting you're tired of holding it. You lean forward, elbows on your knees, hands clasped loosely, and pray again, softer this time. God, meet me in this wanting. Stay with me when I don't know how to take the next step. Remind me that I don't have to do this alone. The hardest part of letting go is that it feels like losing control. As much as you hate the weight of what you carry, there's a strange safety in it. You know the pain, it's familiar. You know the fear, you've built your walls around it. What you don't know is who you'll be without it. And sometimes that unknown feels scarier than holding on to what hurts. Tonight, you sit in that tension between wanting to release and fearing what release might bring. The memories rise again of words you wish you could take back, of people you wish you could still hold close, of moments that changed you in ways you didn't ask for. You replay them, not because you want to, but because you don't know how to stop. You whisper softly, God, I don't know how to let go. I've tried to forgive. I've tried to forget. I've tried to move on. But part of me keeps clinging to what was, or maybe to what I wish it had been. Please show me how to trust you with the things I can't fix, the people I can't reach, the past I can't rewrite. The room around you is quiet, not silent, but still. The hum of the night, distant cars, the faint rustle of wind, the creak of the house settling, feels softer somehow, almost comforting. For the first time, you notice how tired your body is, the way your shoulders ache from being tense, the heaviness in your chest, the weight pressing down on your back. You close your eyes and imagine placing that weight down, even for just a moment. Not throwing it away, you're not ready for that yet, but setting it gently on the ground beside you. You imagine taking one deep breath without it, and in that single breath, you feel it, the faintest trace of relief. The pain isn't gone, but for a heartbeat, it's not everything. There's space here, space for you, space for God, space for something new to begin. The night stretches long, but for the first time, it doesn't feel endless. You breathe in the cool air and let it fill the spaces that pain once occupied. You exhale slowly, imagining the weight lifting, even if just a little. And in that breath, you begin to believe letting go doesn't happen all at once. It happens one prayer at a time, one night at a time, one gentle release at a time. You whisper again, softer than before, "Stay with me in this process, God. Remind me that I don't have to rush healing. Remind me that you are patient with me, even when I'm still learning to trust." Letting go is quieter than you expect. You think it will be this dramatic moment, a breaking, a release, something you'll feel all at once. But most of the time, it's slower. It's small moments, unnoticed at first, a thought you don't chase anymore, a memory that doesn't sting as sharply, a breath that feels lighter than it did the night before. Tonight, you're somewhere in between, still holding on, still hurting, but also noticing tiny cracks in the weight you've carried. And maybe that's how it starts. You lie in bed staring at the ceiling, listening to the hum of the night around you. There's a faint breeze slipping through the window, brushing cool against your face. It smells faintly of rain, fresh, earthy, like the world itself is washing clean. You pull the blanket a little tighter around you, not to shut out the world, but to give yourself permission to rest. You whisper softly, "God, I don't know how to let go. My heart still clings to what's gone. My mind still replays what I wish I could change. Please, stay with me in this slow process. Show me that it's okay if healing doesn't happen overnight. Show me that you're not in a hurry with me." The quiet that follows doesn't feel empty. It feels alive, like someone is sitting beside you, listening, unbothered by the mess you're still in. You feel no demand to explain yourself, no pressure to fix yourself, just presence, just patience. You think of the things you've been holding on to, the grudges, the disappointments, the unspoken pain. Some of them feel too heavy to name. Some of them feel too familiar to release. And yet, a small part of you wonders, what would my life look like if I didn't carry this anymore? Who would I be if I set it down? That question scares you, but it also stirs something hopeful inside you. You whisper again, "I don't know how to let go, but I want to know. Even if it takes time, even if it's messy, even if I have to place it in your hands over and over again until one day I realize it's no longer mine to hold." The breeze outside grows softer, and so do your thoughts. The night is still long, but for the first time, it doesn't feel like an enemy. It feels like a quiet companion, a space where you can lay down your burdens, even if only for a little while, and trust that someone stronger is carrying them with you. Some nights feel heavier than others. You think about how far you've come, but all you can see is how far you still have to go. It's hard to celebrate progress when the finish line feels so distant, when the ache still whispers that you haven't done enough, healed enough, let go enough. But maybe healing isn't about measuring distance. Maybe it's about noticing the quiet ways you've changed along the way. You lie there, still and quiet, feeling the weight in your chest shift with every breath. The night isn't as suffocating as it used to be. The silence doesn't feel as cruel. There's a steadiness in the air, faint but real, a reminder that even when nothing in your circumstances has changed, something in you is slowly softening. You think back to the first time you admitted you didn't know how to release what you carried, how scary it felt to say out loud, "I don't know how to let go." It felt like failure then. But tonight, it feels like honesty. And honesty feels like the beginning of freedom. The past you're holding on to hasn't disappeared. The memories still return. Sometimes uninvited, sometimes when you least expect them. But you notice they don't control you the way they once did. They pass through now. They sting, but they don't stay forever. That's growth, even if it doesn't feel like it. The world outside is quiet. A soft wind brushing against the window, the faint hum of distant traffic, the low creak of the house settling into night. These small sounds remind you you're still here, still breathing, still moving forward, even when it feels slow. For the first time, you begin to understand that letting go isn't about erasing what happened. It's about loosening your grip on the pain so it doesn't dictate who you are anymore. It's about making space, not for something perfect, but for something new. And tonight, that space feels possible. Small, fragile, but real. Letting go often begins with exhaustion. Not the kind of tired that sleep fixes, but the kind that sinks deep into your soul, the kind that comes from carrying what was never meant to be carried this long. You reach a point where holding on costs more than you can give. And in that place, surrender starts to feel less like loss and more like relief. Tonight, you find yourself on that edge, weary, worn, unsure what comes next, but certain you can't keep doing this the same way. You lie still, wrapped in silence that feels heavier than usual, almost like the night itself is waiting with you. There's no rush, no pressure, just stillness. And in that stillness, a quiet nudge. You don't have to do this alone. Your mind drifts to the moments that haunt you, the words you wish you'd never said, the ones you wish you had, the faces you can't forget, the hopes that ended before they began. You've tried to rewrite these stories in your head, but they never change. They only play back over and over until you're too tired to keep fighting them. And maybe that's the beginning of release, realizing you can't rewrite what's already been lived. You can only choose what to carry forward. You take a slow breath and notice the way your chest rises and falls. For the first time tonight, you let it happen without forcing it. You let your body do what it knows how to do. Breathe, survive, exist. And in that small act, you feel it, the faintest hint of grace, unearned and quiet, meeting you exactly where you are. The pain isn't gone, but it doesn't feel as sharp. The memories aren't erased, but they no longer own every corner of your mind. There's space now, just enough to hope that maybe tomorrow will feel lighter than tonight. You don't know what the next step looks like. You don't know how long it will take to fully release what you've been holding. But for now, you let yourself rest in this truth. You are allowed to be in process. You are allowed to heal slowly. You are allowed to let presence, not perfection, define you. There are nights when the weight feels heavier, not lighter, when you think you've made progress, but one memory pulls you backward and suddenly you're right where you started. That's the part no one tells you about healing, how cyclical it can be, how unfair it feels to relive pain you thought you'd already survived. And yet even here, there's grace. Even here, you're not abandoned. You lie still in the quiet, your body tired in a way that goes beyond sleep. The ache isn't just in your chest, it's in your bones, in the way your hands clench without you realizing, in the way your jaw tightens when old thoughts return. You breathe slowly, noticing each rise and fall, teaching your body that it's safe to relax, even if your heart hasn't caught up yet. There's no rushing this process. That's something you're beginning to accept. You can't force yourself to let go any faster than you're ready to. You can only keep showing up to the quiet, to the presence that waits for you here, to the small steps that slowly lead you forward. In the stillness, you begin to notice small mercies. The comfort of a blanket against your skin, the faint hum of night sounds outside, the steady rhythm of your own breath. None of these fix the ache, but they remind you that you are still here, still breathing, still moving towards something lighter, even if it's slow. The memories that return tonight feel softer somehow. They still sting, but not with the same sharpness. You remember what happened, but you're starting to see yourself differently. Not just as someone who is hurt, but as someone who has endured, someone who is still enduring, someone who is learning slowly that endurance can turn into healing. The thought surprises you. Maybe letting go isn't about forgetting what hurt you. Maybe it's about forgiving yourself for holding on so tightly. Maybe it's about understanding that healing isn't proof you're strong. It's proof you're human. And in that humanity, there is a tenderness you didn't expect. A quiet reminder that you don't have to do this alone, that every step you take toward release is met with presence that doesn't leave, even when you're still in process. Letting go is not a single decision. It's 1,000 little choices to unclench your hands, one moment at a time. Sometimes you do it without even realizing. Sometimes it feels like you're taking one step forward and 2 steps back, but every breath you take without the weight crushing your chest is a victory, even if it feels small. The quiet of the night makes every thought sharper. You lie still, listening to the hum of the world around you, a distant car, a soft creak in the walls, the faint whistle of wind through the trees. It's strange how, even in stillness, life continues, time moves forward, and maybe you can too. Your mind drifts to the things you've been afraid to release, not just because they hurt, but because they've shaped who you are. The mistakes you've made that still echo, the wounds that remind you of what you lost, the anger that once made you feel safe, like armor against being hurt again. You wonder who you'll be if you set them down. You wonder if you'll even recognize yourself. But then another thought comes, quiet, tentative, almost like a whisper. Maybe letting go doesn't erase what happened. Maybe it gives me room to heal from it. Maybe it frees my hands to receive something better. You take a slow breath, your chest rising and falling in rhythm with the night around you. The world feels softer in this moment, not because the pain is gone, but because you're not carrying it alone. There's a presence here, patient and unhurried, offering you time, not demanding release, but holding you as you learn how. The memories still come, but they don't crush you the way they once did. There's a little more space between each thought, a little more quiet between each wave. It's subtle, but it's there. A reminder that healing doesn't shout, it whispers. It moves slow, but it moves. And in that slow movement, you find yourself breathing easier. For the first time tonight, the thought of tomorrow doesn't feel unbearable. It feels possible. Sometimes the things we hold on to are not just memories, they're the way we've learned to protect ourselves. The walls we built to survive the pain now stand between us and peace. The anger we clung to once gave us strength, but now it drains us. The fears that warned us before now keep us from moving forward. Letting go isn't just about releasing what hurt us, it's about laying down the defenses we built around it, and that can feel even scarier. The room is still except for the sound of your own breathing. It's slow, uneven at first, then gradually steadier as you focus on it. You feel the heaviness in your chest, but also the faint rhythm beneath it, a heartbeat that keeps going even when you're tired, even when you're unsure, even when you feel lost. Your thoughts drift to the faces tied to the memories you can't release. Some you loved deeply, some you wish you could forget. Some hurt you without meaning to. Others knew exactly what they were doing, and yet all of it lingers, not just in your mind, but in your body, in the way you flinch, in the way you hold your breath without realizing. You find yourself whispering, not out loud, but in your heart, I don't know who I am without this story. I don't know if I know how to live lighter, but I'm tired of being weighed down. I want something different, even if I don't fully know what that means. There's no lightning bolt of clarity, no sudden disappearance of the ache, but there's a shift, small, quiet, almost imperceptible, like the way dawn slowly replaces night. The presence you've been aching for is here, not loud or demanding, but steady. It doesn't rush you to release what you're holding. It simply stays where you learn how. You breathe in again, deeper this time. The air feels different, not because it's changed, but because you have. For the first time tonight, you allow yourself to believe that maybe you're not broken for still holding on. Maybe you're just human. And maybe being human is exactly where grace meets you. The night stretches on, but it no longer feels endless. There's still pain, but there's also patience. There's still weight, but there's also presence. And for now, that's enough. The hardest part about releasing what hurts isn't always the pain itself. It's the fear of what comes next. You've carried this weight for so long that the idea of setting it down feels uncertain. What if you let it go and still feel empty? What if you let it go and it comes back? What if letting go means facing the quiet space it leaves behind? You shift slightly under the blanket, your body heavy with exhaustion that's more than physical. It's the kind of tired that seeps into your bones, the kind that comes from holding on too tightly for too long. Your mind replays moments you wish you could change, but they pass like shadows on a wall, untouchable, unchangeable, and yet still so loud. You've tried to release it before, late-night prayers whispered into silence, promises to yourself that you wouldn't think about it anymore, distractions piled up to drown out the echoes. But somehow, in the stillness of night, it always finds its way back, and that's when the guilt settles in. Wondering why it's taking you so long to heal, why you can't seem to move on the way people say you should. Yet something softer begins to surface beneath the frustration. A quiet truth. Healing isn't linear. It's not a straight path from pain to peace. It loops and circles, forward and backward, slow and uneven. And maybe, just maybe, that's okay. You breathe in, noticing the coolness of the air, the faint hum of distant night sounds. There's something grounding about paying attention to what's real right now. The warmth of the blanket, the steady rhythm of your own heartbeat, the small comforts that remind you you're still here. You don't have to figure everything out tonight. You don't have to know what tomorrow will bring. You only have to be here, in this moment, honest and open. The thought comes quietly. Letting go doesn't mean erasing the past. It means loosening your grip so it doesn't define you anymore. It means making space for something new, even if you don't know what that something is yet. It means trusting that there's more ahead than what you're leaving behind. The wind outside softens, and with it, the restless edges of your thoughts. The night feels less like a weight and more like a companion, a quiet witness to your process, your pain, and your longing to be free. The night has a way of amplifying what you wish you could forget. You tell yourself during the day that you're fine, that you've moved on, that the past doesn't hold you anymore. But when everything is quiet, when the distractions fade, the truth rises. The weight you thought you left behind is still there, tucked into the corners of your heart, pulsing softly like an old wound. It's strange how tightly we hold on to the things that hurt us. Not because we want to, but because we don't know who we are without them. The pain becomes familiar, almost like an identity. The memory of what was lost, the fear of it happening again, the story we've told ourselves. So many times, it feels like truth. To let go feels like erasing part of who we are. But maybe letting go isn't forgetting. Maybe it's learning how to live without carrying the weight. The room around you is still. There's a faint hum from the refrigerator down the hall. The soft creak of wood as the house settles into the night. A car passes outside, its headlights sweeping briefly across the wall before disappearing into darkness. You pull the blanket closer and feel the warmth against your skin. A small comfort, but real. In moments like this, even the smallest comforts matter. Your thoughts drift to the people and moments that shape the ache you carry. A friendship that ended without closure. Words you wish you could take back. A loved one you lost before you were ready. The quiet fears you've never voiced out loud. All of it blends together into a weight you can't seem to set down, no matter how many times you've tried. You breathe in slowly, letting the air fill your lungs, and for the first time tonight, you notice the space around you. You're not being asked to solve everything in this moment. You're being invited to be honest, not polished, not perfect, just real. Honest enough to say, I'm tired. I don't know how to do this on my own. Honest enough to admit you've reached the end of yourself. The night doesn't respond with noise or answers. It meets you with stillness, and maybe that's what you need. Not someone to tell you to let go faster, but someone willing to sit with you while you hold what you cannot release. Outside, the wind shifts, brushing gently against the window pane. It carries a coolness that soothes your restless thoughts. It's subtle, but you feel it, the sense that even here, even in this unsteady space between holding on and letting go, you are not abandoned. There is presence here, quiet, patient, steady. Imagine this now. You're standing in a wide field at dusk. The air is cool, carrying the scent of grass after rain. The horizon glows faintly, not fully dark, not fully light. A space in between. You clutch something in your hands, invisible but heavy, the weight of everything you haven't been able to release. It's pressed against your chest for so long you've forgotten what it's like to stand without it. In the middle of the field stands a single tree, its branches reaching wide like open arms. You walk toward it slowly, every step deliberate. The weight doesn't lessen as you move, but your focus shifts away from what you're holding and toward the one waiting at the tree. You don't see his face, but you feel his presence, steady, patient, unhurried. You stop at the base of the tree, hands still gripping what you can't let go of. There's no command, no rush, just quiet, an invitation you feel more than hear. You don't have to hold this alone. Your hands tremble. You don't know how to release it yet, but you set it down at your feet, not forever, not perfectly, just for now. And as it leaves your hands, you notice something you hadn't before. They're free enough to reach out. Deep. The scene fades, but the feeling lingers. The sense of safety, of presence, that doesn't demand perfection. You return to your quiet room, still lying in bed, but lighter somehow. The weight isn't gone, but it's not crushing you. There's air in your lungs again, space in your chest. You breathe slowly, taking in the silence around you. It feels different now. Not empty, but full. Full of patience, full of quiet love, full of the reminder that you are allowed to let go little by little, that release doesn't have to happen all at once to be real. The memories may come back tomorrow. The ache may return next week. But so will this presence. So will this quiet, and maybe that's what matters most. Not that you've let go perfectly, but that you're learning you never had to do it alone. There's a moment in every healing process where you realize the past doesn't hold you the same way it once did. It's still there. You can still feel its edges, but it no longer dictates every thought, every breath, every heartbeat. It's quieter now. And in that quiet, you begin to notice other things you couldn't see before: the softness of night air, the comfort of stillness, the presence that's been steady all along. You lie in bed, watching faint shadows shift on the wall as the wind moves through branches outside your window. The night is cool, but not cold. It wraps around you gently, like a blanket that holds rather than suffocates. For the first time in a long time, silence doesn't feel like emptiness. It feels like space. Space to breathe, space to rest, space to imagine something new. Your thoughts wander, but they don't spiral the way they used to. The memories still come, but now they pass through instead of anchoring you in place. You see them differently, not as chains, but as chapters, not as the end, but as part of a larger story still being written. You begin to wonder if this is what letting go feels like, not erasing the past, but loosening its grip, allowing it to exist without allowing it to control you, creating room for peace to grow where pain once lived. This realization doesn't arrive loudly. It settles in quietly, like dawn creeping into night. You almost miss it at first, this subtle shift in how you carry what you carry, but the difference is real. You're breathing easier. Your shoulders aren't as tense. Your chest feels less heavy. And in this subtle change, hope flickers. Not naive, not instant, but steady. The kind of hope that knows healing is slow and still believes it's possible. The kind of hope that trusts presence more than perfection. You close your eyes and rest in that hope. For tonight, it's enough. The longer you sit in this quiet, the more you notice how the weight shifts. It hasn't disappeared, not yet, but it no longer feels fused to who you are. It's something you carry, not something that defines you. That distinction alone changes how you breathe. You remember nights when the pain felt endless, when you thought you'd never feel light again. You couldn't imagine a day when your chest wouldn't ache, when your thoughts wouldn't spiral, when your past wouldn't haunt every corner of your present. But tonight, there's a softness creeping in. Not loud, not sudden, but steady. You lie still, the room dark around you, except the faint moonlight filtering through the window. The shadows on the wall sway gently as branches outside move in the wind. There's a peace in these small movements, a rhythm that reminds you life continues even when you feel stuck. The memories are still here, but they've lost some of their sharpness. You can see them for what they are, pieces of a story, not the whole story. They shaped you, but they don't imprison you. They taught you, but they don't define your worth. You breathe slower, deeper. With every exhale, a fraction of the weight slips away, not gone forever, but no longer crushing you. This is how healing happens. Piece by piece, night by night, prayer by prayer.
You don't know exactly when you'll be fully free.
But you're beginning to realize that freedom isn't a single moment. It's a series of moments like this, where you notice the burden isn't as heavy as it used to be. It's realizing you can rest, even before everything is resolved. The presence you've been longing for, it hasn't left. It's been here all along. Quiet, patient, unmoving, waiting for you to notice that you were never truly alone, even in the heaviest nights. You close your eyes, letting that truth sink deeper than the ache, and in this quiet, something shifts. Hope feels possible again. There's a strange relief in admitting you don't know how to do this. For so long you've tried to convince yourself you should have it figured out by now, that healing should be faster, that release should be easier, that faith should erase the ache immediately. But honesty carries its own kind of freedom. Saying, I don't know how to let go, is the first step toward learning how. Tonight the quiet feels safe enough for that kind of honesty. The darkness doesn't feel like a threat. It feels like a shelter. You can be unpolished here. You can admit what hurts without rushing to fix it. You can breathe without having all the answers. The air is still, but not empty. There's a hum beneath the silence, like something steady is holding this moment together. You notice how your breathing has slowed, not forced, just natural. Each inhale feels like space. Each exhale feels like release. Small, almost invisible, but real. Your thoughts drift to all the versions of yourself that have carried this weight. The one who first felt the wound, the one who built walls to survive, the one who tried to outrun it but couldn't. You honor them silently. They did what they knew to do. They kept you here. And maybe letting go doesn't mean rejecting them. Maybe it means thanking them and learning a new way forward. This doesn't erase the ache. It doesn't instantly free you, but it shifts something, a quiet understanding that you don't have to do this alone. That presence has been here in every version of you, in every moment, in every silent night you thought no one saw. The memories still come, but they no longer dictate your every breath. They pass through, noticed but not consuming. The weight is still here, but it's lighter, not because it's gone, but because you've stopped carrying it by yourself. The night stretches on, soft and unhurried, and for the first time in a long time, you don't dread the hours ahead. You let yourself rest, trusting that even in the slowest healing, you are not alone. The longer you carry something, the more it feels like a part of you. That's why letting go feels impossible sometimes. Not because you love what hurt you, but because you've built your life around the weight. You've learned to navigate with it, to brace yourself for it, to expect its presence. And when someone tells you to release it, it feels like they're asking you to lose part of yourself. But maybe letting go isn't about losing part of who you are. Maybe it's about finding the part of you that was buried underneath the pain. The part that's still tender, still hopeful, still alive. Tonight, the quiet feels gentler than it used to. The wind outside is soft, brushing against the window. The darkness isn't heavy, it's calming, almost protective. You pull the blanket closer, not to hide, but to comfort yourself. A quiet reminder that you're safe here, even with everything you still carry. Your thoughts drift, as they often do, to what you wish had been different. The conversations you replay, the endings you never wanted, the hopes that slipped through your fingers. You don't fight the memories tonight, you let them pass through, like clouds across a dark sky, seen, acknowledged, but no longer storming. This shift doesn't mean you've let go completely. It doesn't mean you're done healing, but it does mean something, that the pain doesn't control your breathing anymore, that the memories don't drown you the way they used to. That presence has been strong enough to sit with you in every wave and is still here now. You feel your shoulders sink deeper into the bed, the tension easing just slightly. It's not everything, but it's something. And for tonight, something is enough. There's no loud epiphany, no sudden freedom, just a quiet truth settling in. You are healing slowly but surely, and one day, this weight won't feel as heavy. One day, this grip will loosen fully. One day, you'll wake up and realize you've been free for a while now, and that you were never alone on the way there. There comes a point where even holding on feels heavier than the fear of release. You don't get there all at once. It's a slow realization, built over countless sleepless nights and whispered prayers. Tonight feels closer to that point than before. The ache hasn't vanished, but it no longer feels like the only truth. There's room now for something else, quiet, tender, steady. The room around you hums softly with the sounds of night, distant wind outside, the faint creak of floorboards settling, the quiet hum of your own breathing. These small, ordinary noises remind you you're still here. They ground you in the present, pulling you gently from the loop of memories that used to drown you. You think of how much energy it has taken to carry what you've carried. The way it's shaped how you see the world, how you protect yourself, how you expect disappointment before joy. You've learned to live braced for impact, always ready for the next wave of pain. But now, something inside you whispers, what if you didn't have to live like this forever? What if your story could hold more than what hurt you? This thought doesn't erase the past, but it softens it. It makes space for new possibilities, not perfect, not easy, but real. Space for mornings that aren't haunted, for nights that end in rest instead of restless spirals. Space for a heart that doesn't beat in constant defense, but in quiet trust. You notice your hands, unclenched now, resting softly on the blanket. It's a small thing, almost invisible, but it feels symbolic. A physical echo of what's happening inside you. The grip you've had on the pain is loosening, not gone, but lighter, not forced, but happening naturally, slowly. The night doesn't demand you finish this process tonight. It simply offers you room to breathe. And breathing, you realize, is enough. It's enough to prove you're still here. It's enough to prove that letting go is happening, even if it's too slow to see. You close your eyes, not to escape, but to rest. For the first time, rest feels safe. The weight is still present, but presence itself, steady, patient, unshaken, is stronger. And that's enough for tonight. Letting go rarely feels like a single choice. More often, it feels like waking up every day and deciding over and over again to unclench your hands just a little more. Some days you do it without thinking. Other days, it feels impossible. And yet, with time, you begin to notice your grip loosens. Your chest feels lighter. Your heart has space for something new. Tonight, you're aware of both realities, the part of you that still holds on and the part that longs to release. You've lived in this in-between for so long that it almost feels normal. And yet, deep down, you know you were made for more than this constant tension. You were made for rest, for peace, for a life not weighed down by what you cannot change. The night hums softly around you, wind against the window, the low hum of distant traffic, the faint creak of the house as it settles into quiet. Each sound anchors you to the present, reminding you that even in the ache, life continues. Even in the waiting, healing is quietly unfolding. Your thoughts drift to moments that once consumed you, memories that felt too loud to bear. But tonight, they're softer. They still sting, but they no longer control your breathing. You can see them without being swallowed by them. That too is progress. You realize something important. Release doesn't always mean the pain disappears. Sometimes it means you're learning to live alongside it without letting it define you. It means holding the memory without letting it own your identity. It means trusting that even with scars, you are still whole. This realization doesn't erase the ache, but it shifts something inside you. The weight feels lighter, not because it's gone, but because you're no longer carrying it alone. There is presence here, quiet, patient, unshaken. You close your eyes and breathe deep, feeling your chest rise and fall. The night isn't shorter than before, but it feels gentler now, less like an enemy to endure, and more like a companion inviting you to rest. And in that rest, you begin to believe that letting go is possible. Not all at once, but little by little, night after night, prayer after prayer. There is a kind of silence that feels heavy, the kind that presses in on you and makes every thought louder. But there is another kind of silence too, softer and steadier, the kind that wraps around you like a blanket and reminds you it's okay to rest. Tonight feels closer to the second kind. The quiet doesn't accuse you for still holding on. It welcomes you as you are, tired, uncertain, but willing. You lie still and Let yourself notice what's around you. The air is cool but not cold. The hum of night is faint but steady. A distant car, the soft rustle of leaves, the creak of wood as the house settles deeper into stillness. These details ground you in the present, pulling you gently away from the pull of the past. The memories still surface, but they feel different tonight. They no longer arrive like waves crashing without warning. They come more like distant echoes, noticeable but not consuming. You can look at them without being swallowed by them. That is its own kind of healing. You think of how long you've carried this weight, how much of your life has been shaped around it. The walls you've built, the ways you've learned to brace yourself against disappointment, the quiet fears that linger, even in moments of joy. And yet here you are, still breathing, still showing up, still daring to believe there is more to your story than what hurt you. The thought is tender but firm. Letting go isn't forgetting what happened. It's refusing to let it control what happens next. It's loosening your grip, not because the pain was small, but because you're ready for something bigger, something freer. As you breathe, you notice a shift. Not dramatic, but real. Your body feels just a little lighter. Your chest a little less tight. The quiet a little more like comfort than isolation. These are the small signs you've been waiting for. Proof that even in the slowness, even in the imperfection, something is changing. You close your eyes and rest in that truth. Healing is happening, even if it's quiet. Release is coming, even if it's slow. And through it all, presence is here, steady, patient, unmovable. Some nights you wonder if holding on has become part of who you are. The memories are familiar. The pain is familiar. Even the weight, though heavy, feels known. And there's something strangely comforting about the known, even when it hurts. Letting go feels like stepping into uncharted territory, into a life you've never known without the ache. But as you lie here tonight, something in you whispers that you want more than familiar pain. You want peace. You want rest. You want to know what it feels like to wake up unburdened, not untouched by life, but free from being defined by it. The quiet around you is gentle. The night hums with soft sounds, a distant car on an empty street, the low creak of wood as the house settles, the faint whistle of wind against the window pane. These small noises remind you you're still here, still breathing, still moving forward, even if it doesn't feel fast. You think about the stories you've told yourself, the ones where you're the sum of your mistakes, the ones where you're defined by what you lost. For so long, these stories felt permanent. But lately, you've begun to question them. Maybe you're not the villain your mind makes you out to be. Maybe you're more than the pain you've carried. Maybe there's another story being written, even now. Your breathing slows as this thought takes root. The tension in your chest doesn't vanish, but it loosens slightly, enough to make room for something else. Curiosity, hope, maybe even grace. The process is still slow. The memories still return, but you're beginning to see them differently, not as chains, but as reminders of how far you've come. They don't own you, not anymore. And that realization, small as it is part of letting go. You lie still, feeling the night wrap around you like a blanket. It doesn't rush you. It doesn't demand you to hurry. It simply stays, quiet, steady, patient. The same way presence has stayed with you all along, even when you didn't realize it. Nights like this teach you patience. You want healing to be quick, a single prayer, a single moment where everything shifts. But letting go feels more like learning how to breathe all over again. One quiet inhale and exhale at a time. It's slow, it's messy, and it often feels invisible while it's happening. But that doesn't mean it isn't real. You lie in bed, the weight in your chest softer than it was, but still there. Your body remembers the ache in your shoulders, the tightness in your jaw, the way your stomach twists when certain memories surface. You've tried to push these feelings away, to tell yourself they don't matter anymore. But tonight, you let them be what they are. Reminders of where you've been, not indicators of where you're going. The quiet of the night feels different now. It's not suffocating, it's spacious. There's room here, room to admit you're not okay. Room to whisper prayers you don't fully understand. Room to rest even while the healing is still unfolding. You don't have to solve everything tonight. You just have to be willing to stay. You think about what it means to release the past. It's not pretending it never happened. It's not erasing the pain or pretending it didn't hurt. It's loosening your grip so the past doesn't control you anymore. It's letting the memory exist without letting it define you. And in this quiet moment, you realize something. Even if you can't let go all at once, every time you breathe, every time you pray, every time you admit you need help, you're loosening your grip, slowly, gently, consistently. The wind outside is calm. The air in your room feels still but alive, like someone is sitting nearby, unbothered by your process. You don't feel judged for holding on this long. You feel understood. You feel accompanied. You close your eyes and let that truth sink deeper. You're not behind. You're not failing. You're simply healing. And healing. Real healing. Imagine this now. You are standing at the edge of a quiet lake under a midnight sky. The stars are scattered like soft lanterns above you, their reflections shimmering across the still water. The air is cool, carrying the faint scent of pine and damp earth. You hold in your hands a bundle, not physical, but real, made of every memory, every fear, every regret you've carried for years. You walk slowly to the water's edge. Each step feels heavy, but intentional. The ground is soft beneath your feet, damp with dew. You kneel at the shoreline, the quiet lapping of water meeting your ears like a lullaby. There is no voice rushing you, no demand to act, just an invitation that feels deeper than words. You can set it down here. Your hands tremble. You're not sure if you're ready. But slowly, you place the bundle into the water. It doesn't sink right away. It floats for a moment, carried gently by the ripples. Then slowly, it drifts further from you. Not gone, but no longer clutched so tightly. You rise to your feet, hands suddenly light, almost unfamiliar. The weight isn't fully gone, but it's no longer yours to grip. And in that moment, standing beneath a sky full of stars, you realize something. Letting go isn't about forgetting. It's about trusting that what you release will be held by hands bigger than yours. They'll reach your beards. The scene fades, but the feeling stays. You're back in your quiet room, lying still in the dark, but lighter somehow. The weight you've carried for so long feels different, not vanished, but softer. You notice the space it leaves behind, a space that feels both strange and full of possibility. You breathe deeply, and for the first time in what feels like forever, your chest doesn't ache as much. There's room here for peace, for hope, for something new to take root. You don't know what tomorrow will bring, but tonight, you know this: you've begun, and that beginning is enough. There's a deep quiet that only comes after long nights of wrestling. It doesn't mean the questions are all answered or the pain is fully gone. It means you've stopped fighting yourself. It means you've allowed grace to meet you exactly where you are. Not when you're better, not when you've moved on, but here, in the middle of the process. That quiet is what fills this room tonight. You lie in bed, the weight in your chest lighter than it's been in months. The memories still hover at the edges, but they no longer hold you hostage. You can see them without flinching. You can feel them without drowning. They are part of you, yes, but they are not the whole of you. You think about everything it took to get here. The endless prayers you thought no one heard, the nights when you almost gave up. The way it felt impossible to imagine peace, and yet here it is, small, steady, undeniable. It didn't come all at once. It arrived quietly, like dawn breaking after the longest night. Letting go hasn't meant forgetting. It hasn't meant pretending nothing happened. It's meant loosening your grip enough to breathe again. It's meant trusting that what's ahead can be lighter than what's behind. It's meant realizing that presence has been with you every step of the way, not judging, not rushing, simply staying. As you breathe in the cool night air, you notice how different your body feels now. Shoulders relaxed, hands open, heart steady. You're no longer bracing for impact. You're no longer waiting for the next wave of pain. You're learning, slowly but surely, how to rest. The night hums softly around you, wind in the trees, distant sounds of life outside, the quiet rhythm of your own breath. None of these are extraordinary, but together they feel sacred. They remind you, you are here, you are safe, you are loved. You close your eyes and allow that truth to sink deeper than the ache. This isn't the end of your story. It's the beginning of something lighter. And as you drift towards sleep, you know you don't have to know exactly how to let go. You only have to keep opening your hands, night after night, trusting that presence will meet you every time. There's a moment, somewhere in the slow work of healing, when you realize you're no longer fighting the same battle. The memories still exist, but they don't hit with the same force. The ache still hums quietly, but it no longer defines the rhythm of your days or the shape of your nights. Something softer has taken root, a quiet trust, a steady peace, a readiness to live lighter. Tonight, that realization feels clearer than ever. The room is still, wrapped in muted darkness, but the quiet doesn't feel empty. It feels alive. The faint hum of wind against the window, the soft groan of settling wood, the distant chorus of night creatures, all of it reminds you life continues. And so do you. You think about the long path it took to reach this moment, the countless prayers whispered in desperation, the nights spent clutching what you couldn't release, the tears you thought no one saw. You realize now those moments weren't wasted. They were shaping you quietly, preparing you for this softness, teaching you that letting go isn't about erasing, but about transforming. The past hasn't vanished. It's still part of your story, but it's no longer the headline. You've grown around it, beyond it. You can hold it without being held captive by it. That is freedom, even if it's quiet and uncelebrated. As you breathe in the cool night air, you feel the difference in your body. The absence of constant tension, the way your chest rises without heaviness, the way your hands rest open instead of clenched. These small changes speak louder than words. You're healing even when you don't feel it. The presence that has walked with you through every restless night feels closer now. Not because the pain is gone, but because you've learned to notice it, to trust it, to rest in it. That presence has been here all along, patient and steady, waiting for you to realize you were never truly alone. You close your eyes, letting gratitude settle where grief used to live. There's still more to learn, still more to release. But tonight, you rest in the quiet truth. You've come further than you ever thought you could. There is a kind of freedom that sneaks up on you. It doesn't arrive with a single decisive moment, but in small realizations, in the way you notice you're breathing easier, in the way certain memories no longer pull you under, in the way silence feels safer than it used to. Tonight holds that quiet kind of freedom. You lie still, listening to the soft hum of the night. A breeze slips through the slightly open window, carrying with it the faint scent of cool air and distant trees. The house creaks softly in response, settling deeper into stillness. Each sound reminds you life is continuing. You're still here, and that is enough. The memories haven't disappeared. They rise and fall like distant tides, sometimes louder, sometimes faint. But you've stopped fighting them. You've learned how to watch them pass without chasing or clinging. They are pieces of what shaped you, but not the measure of who you are now. You think about the way you used to brace for them, how every quiet moment felt like an ambush. Now, those same moments have become invitations, not to forget, but to breathe, to soften, to let presence meet you where pain once lived. The truth is clearer than it's ever been. Letting go isn't an event, it's a posture. It's choosing again and again to open your hands when fear tempts you to close them. It's trusting that release doesn't mean abandonment, but an exchange of weight for peace, of pain for healing, of isolation for presence. Tonight, that exchange feels possible. Not perfect, not complete, but real. You can feel it in the looseness of your chest, in the softness of your thoughts, in the way the quiet comforts you instead of unsettling you. You don't know what tomorrow will bring, but for tonight, you rest in this small miracle. The ache is softer, the night is gentler, and you are not alone. There's a tenderness in the quiet that follows release. It's not the absence of all pain. The memories are still there. The echoes still linger, but they've softened. They no longer pierce the way they once did. What was once constant noise has faded into something manageable, something you can live alongside without fear. Tonight you lie still, wrapped in that tender quiet. The darkness around you feels calm, not oppressive. The night air is cool, carrying faint scents from outside, damp earth, distant leaves swaying in the wind. There's no rush here, no expectation to be further along than you are, just stillness waiting to hold you. You think back to the earliest nights of this journey, when even breathing felt hard, when silence felt hostile, when every thought spiraled toward regret. Comparing then to now, you can see it, the shift, the softening, the way healing has crept in quietly, almost unnoticed. You're not the same person who started this prayer. The memories that once controlled you are still part of your story, but they no longer own your present. You can remember without reliving. You can feel without drowning. You can acknowledge without being defined. That too is letting go. The realization doesn't come with fireworks. It arrives quietly, like dawn. You almost miss it at first, the gentle truth that you've been living lighter than you realized. It shows up in subtle ways, unclenched hands, deeper breaths, the way your chest no longer aches constantly. This doesn't mean the process is over. It means you've reached a point where presence feels stronger than pain, where grace feels more real than regret, where peace, once unthinkable, is now something you can touch, even if only in glimpses. The night is calm, the room softly dim. Outside branches sway in a gentle wind, their shadows flickering across the wall. The air feels cooler now, soothing against skin that's grown used to bracing for weight. For once you don't feel the need to guard yourself. You allow yourself to rest in this softness, even if it's new. Your thoughts wander to the pain you've carried, the regrets you clung to, the anger you thought protected you, the losses that hollowed you out. These things shaped you, but they no longer define you. You can remember them without being pulled under. You can feel them without being consumed. That realization is quiet but profound. Healing hasn't erased your past. It's teaching you to live differently with it, to hold it gently, not tightly, to honor it without letting it rule you, to accept it as part of your story without letting it write your future. The presence you've felt in the quiet, steady, patient, unshaken, hasn't left. It hasn't hurried you. It hasn't demanded perfection. It simply stayed. And in that staying, it's taught you what peace feels like. You close your eyes, breathing in that peace, letting it sink deeper than the ache. Tonight isn't about being finished. It's about resting in the progress you've made, trusting that every small release is leading you somewhere lighter. There's a quiet strength in realizing you don't have to rush this. For so long you've carried the weight like a deadline, pressuring yourself to heal faster, forgive sooner, move on already. But tonight, you feel the freedom of taking your time, of letting the process be as gentle and slow as it needs to be. The darkness around you is soft, not suffocating. The faint glow of moonlight through the window lays pale lines across the room, a reminder that even in the darkest hours, light still finds its way in. The sounds of the night, distant cars, a soft breeze, the quiet creak of wood blend into a lullaby you didn't know you needed. Your body feels tired, but not from fear, this time from release. The tension that once clenched your shoulders and chest has eased, replaced with a kind of fatigue that feels cleansing, like exhaling after holding your breath for too long. You think of the memories that haunted you most, the faces, the words, the regrets. They still exist, but they no longer rise like storms. They float, quiet and distant, like clouds that pass without thunder. You can see them now without losing yourself in them. That shift alone is a miracle. You begin to believe that letting go isn't about forgetting, but about reclaiming your life from the grip of what hurt you. It's about choosing to live forward instead of backward. It's about trusting that what's ahead can be lighter, even if what's behind was heavy. There's no fanfare in this moment, no sudden flood of joy, just quiet, but it's the kind of quiet that feels holy. The kind that says, you made it here. You're safe now. You're allowed to rest. And so you do. You close your eyes, breathing deeply, letting the quiet sink deeper than the ache. The weight is still present, but it's no longer yours to carry alone. That's enough for tonight. Healing never announces itself. It doesn't arrive with fanfare or a sudden burst of clarity. It creeps in slowly, almost unnoticed, until one night you realize you're breathing differently. The pain is still there, but it no longer swallows you whole. The memories still surface, but they no longer drown you. Something inside you has shifted, quietly, faithfully. Tonight you lie, in that shift, aware of what you've carried, but no longer crushed by it. The night hums softly around you, the faintest sounds of wind through trees, and the distant rhythm of life beyond your window. There's nothing demanding from you here, nothing you must solve or fix, just stillness, waiting to hold you. Your thoughts drift to what it has taken to get here. The countless nights of restlessness, the prayers that felt unanswered, the tears you thought no one saw. Now, in hindsight, you realize each moment mattered, not because it fixed everything at once, but because it carried you forward inch by inch, even when you didn't notice. You start to understand something important. Letting go doesn't always feel like victory. Sometimes it feels like surrender. Soft, quiet, almost invisible. It's not about erasing what happened, but about loosening your ribbon on it. About choosing over and over to stop carrying what you don't need anymore. The presence in this quiet moment feels steady, unshaken. It doesn't ask you to hurry. It doesn't scold you for how long it has taken. It simply stays. And in that staying, you find rest. The ache in your chest hasn't disappeared, but it feels different now. It's surrounded by something softer, patience, compassion, peace, and in that softness, you feel yourself exhale in a way you haven't in a long time. You close your eyes, not to escape, but to receive the quiet for what it is, a gift. A reminder that healing can happen slowly, quietly, faithfully. And even in the slowness, you are never. There's a strange tenderness in realizing you've survived something you thought would break you. The scars are still there. The memories still surface, but they no longer hold the same power. They're part of your story, yes, but they're not the whole story anymore. Tonight, that truth feels clearer than it ever has. You lie in stillness, the quiet of the night wrapping gently around you. The hum of distant sounds, a car in the far-off streets, a soft breeze brushing against the window, becomes background music to this moment of calm. Your body, though tired, is more at ease than it's been in months. The tension in your shoulders has softened. Your hands rest open on the blanket instead of clenched tight. This openness feels unfamiliar, almost vulnerable. For so long, you've kept yourself guarded, holding on to the pain, because it felt safer than facing the unknown. But now, as your grip loosens, you realize the unknown might not be as frightening as you thought. It might even be gentler than the pain you've carried. You think of the people tied to your past, those who hurt you, those you lost, those you wish had stayed. Their faces appear in your memory, but with less sharpness now. There's still ache, but it's not consuming. It's quieter, almost like a distant echo instead of a fresh wound. This doesn't mean you've fully let go. It means you're learning to live with the memory without letting it rule you. It means you can remember and still breathe, still hope, still look forward. That is its own kind of freedom. The presence you've felt throughout this journey, steady, patient, unshaken, feels closer tonight. Not because the pain is gone, but because you've made space for it, space for peace, space for grace, space for something new to grow where hurt once lived. You close your eyes, and for the first time, the darkness doesn't feel heavy. It feels like rest, and rest is what you've been longing for all. The moment after release is quieter than you imagined. You thought there might be fireworks, some unmistakable sign that everything had changed. Instead, it's subtle. A lighter chest, a softer breath, a silence that doesn't feel empty anymore. It's not dramatic, but it's real. You lie in bed, staring into the darkness above you. The memories still hover at the edges of your mind, but they don't shout the way they once did. They're just there, pieces of a story you've lived, not chains around your heart. And for the first time in a long time, that feels okay. You think about the process, the nights spent clutching what you couldn't release, the prayers whispered into silence, the countless times you felt like you were failing because you still hurt. Now you see those nights differently. They weren't failures. They were steps. Every tear, every restless prayer, every honest confession brought you closer to this quiet moment. The night hums gently around you, the soft rustle of leaves outside, the distant hum of a car passing, the steady rhythm of your own breathing. These sounds anchor you here, now, not in the past, not in the fear of what's next, just here. You realize letting go doesn't mean you'll never think of it again. It doesn't mean the pain disappears forever. It means the memory loses its grip. It means you can hold it without being held by it. It means you can live forward, not backward. This truth settles in your chest, warm and steady. The ache isn't gone, but it's different now. Softer, manageable, surrounded by presence that doesn't leave. You close your eyes, letting the night wrap around you. There's still more healing ahead, but tonight there's peace. And for now, peace is enough.